This segment of the learning curve is brought to you by Onxhunt. Know where you stand.
Hey everybody, this is Justin Fiskajohn here with Justin Fiskajohn Outdoors and the Learning Curve Outdoor web series. We're bringing you another kind of a tip and tactic segment here where we can kind of share some of our tips, techniques, and tricks that we use to harvest big deer like this one right here. I'm going to touch on, probably my most important tool that I utilize in chasing not only big whitetails, but also lots of other critters out here in the west of North Dakota and Montana. Biggest tool that I utilize is called OnX. I use it on my phone and my computer, and it has been unbelievable in the amount of help that it's given me in chasing and locating big deer. I wouldn't have killed this deer without it. I use it in a variety of ways, and we're going to touch on a few of those today. One way that I use it is this time of the year. Right now it's beginning of July. What I like to do in midsummer is drive around I hunt a lot of public land, so I'll drive around a lot of the public land locations, and I'll mark every agricultural field because I hunt a lot of river bottom type stuff with egg fields. So the deer are bedding along the river in the woods, and they work their way out to the egg fields in the evenings and vice versa in the morning. So what I want to find out is where the good food sources are. So I'll mark alfalfa fields, I'll mark corn fields, I'll mark the sugar beet fields, and that'll give me a pretty good idea where I can expect to see the majority of the deer heading towards in September when the season opens, but also late in the season, when a lot of the deer like to try to hit those harvested sugar beet fields and get a lot of that high sugar content feed to make it through the winter. So OnX is pretty cool in the fact that you can actually go through and color code your icons. So that's what I do when I'm marking all the fields. I'll mark all the alfalfa fields with red, and then I'll mark all the sugar beet fields with a purple icon, and I'll mark all the corn fields with a yellow icon. That really helps me just not even have to click on the icon to know what's planted where, and gives me a pretty good idea where those deer are going to be at during those different times of the year. I like to really focus on alfalfa in September. They do occasionally hit up the sugar beet fields and corn as well, but right away early season I usually like to target alfalfa fields and then move to corn, and late season I like to hunt along sugar beet fields because they really hammer those late season. Another way that I utilize the OnX app is I don't like to really get in and leave a lot of scent or put a lot of boots to the ground in the actual area that I'm going to be hunting on public, because once those deer get pressured, they do go nocturnal. So a lot of times what I'll do is during postseason, during shed hunting season, stuff like that, when I'm back in there in their bedroom, I'll mark bedding areas on my phone, I'll mark rub lines, I'll mark scrape lines, I'll mark absolutely every bit of sign that I come across on my OnX app right on my phone. And what that allows me to do is, once I start zooming out, when I'm done shed hunting for the year, it gives me a good idea of core buck bedding areas, just basing that off of where a lot of the buck sign is. But what it also does is it helps me identify those key bedding areas. And I've had my best success killing big deer on public land right in the bedding area during the rut. So I tend to stay out of there 99% of the year, but once the time is right and I've seen some good chasing and rutting activity, during shed season, I'll have marked individual trees that I think will be good spots, good pinch points, funnels, what have you. And the OnX app allows me to walk straight in there in the dark in the morning, right to the exact tree that I want to sit or I think is going to be good, set up my stand and sticks in the dark, and have that first hunt with absolutely no human set around until they come through there for the first time. That's the same technique that I've used to harvest a lot of my big bucks, and I killed this deer right here, which is my biggest buck that I've killed to date, using that tactic. I was set up right in the bedding area, walked right to the base of the tree that morning, jumped in the tree, and I was able to kill the biggest buck that I've ever seen in the woods myself personally. So that's another way that I like to utilize it. Mark every sign that you find. Mark the sheds that you find, the rubs that you find, scrapes that you find, and I find it best to hunt kind of rub lines in that late September, early October is when the deer are really getting aggressive and territorial. So the way that I kind of think of rub lines anyways is I think of it like a dog peeing on a tire. You know, they're marking their territory, letting other dogs know that this is their area. That's what bucks are doing when they're making rubs. They're leaving forehead scent gland, or scent from their forehead glands on these trees that they're rubbing, and it's a territorial thing. And they'll have lines along fields, they'll have lines along their travel pattern to and from fields or food sources. And the best time to hunt those is late September, early October from what I've found. And then switching over to the scrapes, I'll hunt those once the rut really starts kicking off. You know, late October into beginning and middle of November is the best time to hunt over those scrapes. Being out west, deer isn't the only animal that I chase. I hunt a lot of antelope and elk as well. And what I'm doing with Onyx to help my success there is I'll actually sit at my computer and I'll zoom into different areas and I'll find all the different water sources in that area. So what that helps me do is when I actually get out there, it's a couple-hour drive to where I elk and antelope hunt, is when I get out to that area and I see antelope or elk in certain areas, I can go back and I can cross-reference that to where the nearest water source is, and that's where I'm going to put up my trail cameras, ground blinds, that sort of thing to try to hunt those animals. So Onyx has multiple different uses for me alone, and it's really helped me to be successful over the years, whether it's turkey, deer, antelope, elk, you name it. It's been a huge tool to my success. And one of the other big helps that it's been for me is when I hunt out of state. It allows me to do a lot of aerial scouting, pick out pinch points or other areas that I think, you know, even trails, you can see trails when you zoom out on the app as well. So I can find these locations before I even leave my home state, whether I'm going to Iowa or South Dakota or Kansas or Montana. And when I'm hunting all these other states, it gives me a game plan for when I get there, so I'm not wasting the first few days scouting. I can then put my boots on the ground, get out there and see if my eyes and the side that's actually on the ground match up with what I think it should look like and what the aerial scouting told me. So just a few different ways that I utilize the Onyx app. Hopefully it'll help you guys to be successful this year as well. And like I said, when you are in their bedroom post-season, shed hunting season, take advantage of that time. Mark trees that you think will be good during next year's rut. Mark the rubs, mark the scrapes, mark all the different stuff that's going to help you that next hunting season. Take advantage of those opportunities that you're in their bedroom, because a guy shouldn't be in there very often. But when you are, you got to take advantage of it and mark as much time as you can, and hopefully that leads to you killing that big buck of your dreams next year. This has been Justin Fiskajohn, this week's tip. Hope you guys enjoy it, and hopefully it helps you kill a big deer this next year.